Hi everyone, today I'll be doing a 20-minute tutorial to help you get into the splits. So it's been a little while since our last video, so today I'll be teaching you a couple of new drills to help you get into the hamstrings and hips. So let's begin in child's pose, with the knees as wide as your mat, hips down towards your heels, and just walk your hands forward, bringing your forehead down onto the mat. Staying here for a couple of breaths to check in with how your hips and hamstrings feel now. Starting to feel the tops of the feet. The hips and groins begin to stretch. You could take a couple of rocks of your head here, side to side, or your hips side to side, to bring a bit of movement into those hip joints. So this first little stretch or drill is a little zigzag position with the legs. So bring one leg in front and the other leg will turn in, so we've got this internal rotation. You're going to feel the stretch into the inside of that thigh and the groin. So on the inhale, lift that right sit bone up off the ground, and then exhale, start to sit that sit bone down, so we're tilting the pelvis and getting this stretch into the outside of that top hip or thigh. I'm going to do this 2 more times. Inhale to sit the sit bone up, lifting, tilting the pelvis. Exhale to ground the sit bone down. One more inhale. Just be careful of the feeling in your hips here, making sure there's no cracking, clicking. Okay, and then coming all the way back up through center, and you can open the same leg out to the side. So just make sure you're not dumping down into your tailbone and lower back here. If you are, you can sit up on a block to prop your hips up. Flex that right foot, pulling the toes back towards your face. Making sure the sit bones are evenly placed on your mat. And feeling the stretch into the inside of the hip, the thigh, the back of the leg. If the feeling's too strong, bring your leg in a little closer in front. So bring your right fingertips to the inside of that leg. On the inhale, sweep the left arm up. Exhale to tip over towards your right side, stretching into the left side of the body. Feeling a deeper stretch into the inside of that right leg. Holding for 1 more breath. Breathing into that side body. And then inhale, use the left arm to guide you back up through center. And use the hand to help bring that right leg in and switching sides. This time your right leg in front, turning your left knee in, finding that zigzag position. Hands on either side. Again, inhale to lift that sit bone up. Exhale to ground the sit bone down. 2 more rounds. Inhale to lift. Exhale, grounding the sit bone down. Just working on the hip mobility. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, just come all the way back up through center, lifting the sit bones and bring that left leg back out and opening it out to the side. With the stretch through the inside of that left leg. If it's too strong, remember you can bring that leg in a little closer. Flex the foot to engage the muscles around your knee, protect your hamstring. Bring the left hand a little closer or a little further away along your leg. And inhale to lift that right arm up. Feel that side stretch, opening the chest up towards the ceiling. Exhale, tip towards the left side. Breathing into the side body here and deepening the stretch in the hips, in the hamstrings, the back of that knee. Inhale to use the right arm to guide you back up. And exhale, slowly bring that leg back in. So now we're going to come up into our tabletop. Fingers are spread. Try to really pull that lower belly in, using the lower back. You're using the belly to stabilize the lower back. Crown of the head is pulling forward and tailbone is pulling towards the back of the room. Inhale to lift your right leg. We're going to flex that right foot and point your toes down towards the mat. Really squaring the hips. Just make sure you're not dumping into the lower back here. You want to keep the belly hugging in, again stabilizing the lower back. Like an internal rotation of that right leg. Keeping the hips square. Keep pressing the right heel away. Feel the stretch, the strengthening in that right glute. And then release. Same on the other side. Inhale, lift the left leg. Internally rotating that top leg, pointing the toes down. Make sure you're not dumping into the lower back. You press the ground away with your hands. Feeling your abdominals working, feeling the left quad, glutes working, and lower down. You can shake it out for a moment. And now we're going to find our downward facing dog. You can tuck the toes under, push hips back and up. Take a couple of moments to stretch into your arms, your shoulders. You can bend the knees. Maybe shaking the hips out, and then start to pedal your feet out, pressing one heel down towards the mat and then the other. Stretching into your calves, into the backs of the knees, backs of your thighs, to the whole back line of the body. On the next inhale, we're going to lift the right leg, just like we did before in that tabletop. Let's flex that top foot, internally rotate that right leg, squaring off your hips, making sure the leg doesn't open out to the side. Keep thinking of pulling that right hip down and lifting your left hip up. Pull the lower belly in. So you're stabilizing the lower back still, you're not sinking down into your shoulders or your lower back. Really press the left heel down towards the mat, feeling the stretch into your left hamstrings. And then now let's open the hips, stack your right hip over the left, feeling a stretch into your right hip flexors, maybe into the quad. Just observing the difference here. Stretching back out. And then on the next exhale, we're going to turn the leg all the way back in, lower the right hip back down again, square off the hips again. Because you can really feel the difference between this squaring off the hips and then opening the hips. On your next exhale, lightly step your right foot forward between the hands and lower your back knee down gently, coming into a half crescent lunge. Spine long on the inhale. Exhale, you can gently start to sit your hips down, feeling a stretch into the left hip flexors, to the front of the hip, front of the quad, also the back of that right thigh, the glutes. Staying for one more breath. You might want to stay here a little longer if you're feeling particularly tight here today. Otherwise now we're coming into a half split. So begin to straighten your right leg. Really flex your front foot, pulling the toes back towards your face. I'm going to activate the muscles in the leg so we're not just dumping into the hamstring. Chest is reaching forward to keep your spine long. Keep pulling those toes back. Feel the stretch into that right calf. A deeper stretch into your hamstring. Maybe on the exhale you can fold a little further forward over your front leg, or even straighten your right leg a little bit more. You shake the hips out a little bit here to keep the squaring of those hips, folding a little further forward with every exhale. Let's move through a little flow now. So inhale to come back into your crescent lunge, sinking those hips low, lifting your chest, feeling the stretch into those hip flexors. Exhale, half split. Flex the front foot, pull your right hip back, fold forward over the leg. 2 more times, moving with your breath, warming up into the hips and hamstrings here. Feeling that with every flow, every movement, maybe you can fold a little further forward, go a little deeper into the pose. Ground your hands back down on the next inhale. Exhale, step your right foot all the way back to downward facing dog. And shake your hips out here, pedal those feet out, and feel the difference between your left and right sides. Same thing on the other side now. Inhale, lifting your left leg, squaring off those hips a lot, rotating that thigh inwards. Press the right heel down if you can, stretching into that right hamstring. Really starting to feel those glutes working. Feel the quad working, your hamstrings working. Press the ground away with your hands, and then open, stack your hips now. Getting that opening of hip flexors, the quads, feeling the difference here compared to that closed position. And then now come back to that closed, squaring off the hips, pointing the toes back down towards your mat. Holding here, 1 more breath. Then inhale here. Exhale, lightly step that left foot forward between your hands. Lower the back knee down. Find your crescent lunge here. Wiggle your front foot forward if you need to widen your stance. Inhale to lift the chest. Exhale to sit the hips down lower, stretching into the other side of your hip flexors. 1 more breath. And again, you can stay here a little bit longer. Or now come into your half split. Flexing the front foot, making sure not rounding the back or spine. Walk hands back, or use blocks if you need to. Reach the chest forward like a halfway lift, long spine. Exhale to fold forward over your front leg, or straighten your front leg a little bit more, just however far you can go without feeling any pain in that hamstring. Two more breaths here. And then coming all the way back to your crescent lunge on the inhale. Exhale, coming to your half split. 2 more rounds of this flow. Warming up into your left hips, hamstrings. Inhale. And exhale to fold forward. 1 more inhale, coming forward into your crescent lunge. Exhale, hips back, chest forward, half split. Inhale to come back to your lunge, ground your hands, and exhale, step your left foot back. Shake those hips out again. Rest here for a moment. Now we're going to bend the knees a lot. Look up to the top of the mat on the inhale. As you exhale, begin to walk your feet forward. Just very small steps forward, and with every step forward, we want the heels to touch down. Okay, so you can bend the knees here slightly, but we want the heels to touch down with every single step forward. Keep shuffling it forward, just tiny steps. Eventually, maybe you need to lift the heels of your hands or your palms off, but try to keep them down for as long as you can. And then coming into a forward fold position, you can bend your knees slightly, let the belly thighs touch, or you can keep your legs straight, whatever feels better for your hamstrings. Come into a ragdoll and relax here for a moment. Release opposite elbows now. On the inhale, let's come into a halfway lift. Fingertips to your mat or your shins. Long spine, long through the backs of the legs. Exhale, fold forward. 2 more like this. Inhale, halfway lift. Lengthening along the back line of your body, the spine, the legs. Exhale, fold forward. 1 more round. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale to fold forward. Now, keeping your knees slightly bent, keep your fingertips on the mat or use a block here. We want to maintain this long spine, just like you did in that halfway lift. Your fingertips are just light on the mat. Start to shift your weight into your left leg and lift your right foot off the mat. It might just be barely hovering off the mat. You might need to keep your left knee bent. But we want to keep those right toes pointing down. And then gradually you might be able to straighten your left leg, feeling a stretch into the back of that left leg. Now remember, the top toes are still pointing down the whole time, just like we did before in the tabletop in the downward facing dog, squaring off those hips. Think of lowering your right hip down and almost like you're lifting this left hip up, feeling the glutes burning here, working really hard. Maintaining the squaring of those hips. Keep pressing the right heel back away from you. And then slowly lower your right leg all the way back down. You can shake your legs out. Rest here for a moment. And then we're going to come to the other side, shifting your weight into your right leg this time. Lifting the left foot up. Start to straighten your right leg if you can. Remember to prop your chest up higher. Bring something underneath your hands if you need to maintain a long spine. Internally rotating that top leg. Toes point down. Left hip rolls down. Tilting the right hip up. Feeling that burning in your right glutes into the hamstrings. Then lower all the way down. And shake out your legs. And then we'll come down into a squat, sitting those hips all the way down. You can take a little side to side movement, stretching back out into your glutes, relaxing your hamstrings. Stay here for a few breaths, winding down. That's it for today. Hopefully you learned something new to help fire up those hamstrings and hips. So just keep practicing and the splits will become easier and achievable over time. Thanks for watching. See you next time.